Para español, marque dos. A few months ago, I created a video about the top 11 best ways to learn Spanish. But then soon after, I realized there are a lot more ways to learn Spanish. So that's why in this video, you are learning 7 more ways to learn Spanish. Start using social media. I would have never realized that there were so many Instagrammers and TikTokers that are very passionate about teaching Spanish. For example, on Instagram, sometimes they'll just post a picture that has a Spanish phrase with the English translation. They also post dynamic reels and videos about different words and phrases in Spanish. For example, they could point to a particular item within their home and they could say what that is in Spanish and then also in English. They also put a lot of captions and other animations in their videos for you to learn a lot easier. So for example, if I put up my hand right here, you would be able to see a caption over my hand. They're all very creative and they have their own style of teaching. Some test you on your listening abilities where you would have to fill in the blank with a particular Spanish word, or you have a multiple choice question and you have to choose the right one. I also like content on Instagram because there is a little bit for everybody, no matter if you're a beginner or if you're advanced. So you will see content that is completely in Spanish, and you also have the content that is in Spanish but with the English captions. Now TikTok is a different environment, I would say, because you'll find videos that are a lot more shorter than you would find on Instagram. And this year, usually I've been using TikTok to consume content specifically from native Spanish speakers. So I'm watching native content that is made for other Spanish speakers. Now, by doing this, I'm learning a ton of colloquial words and phrases. Also, a lot of inside jokes from different Spanish-speaking countries. One tip that I have for you for learning Spanish with social media is that you take notes and that you don't just watch all these videos passively. Another way that you can learn Spanish is by going to different places within your community that have Spanish speakers. You can start heading to Latino restaurants to start connecting with Spanish speakers and to have some delicious food. My friend and I, who is half Venezuelan, have been going to a lot of Mexican restaurants and connecting with the Spanish speakers there and learning about not just about the food that we're eating and the different names, but also about our waiters and waitresses and what their story is. And you don't even have to spend a whole bunch of money going to the most extravagant and the most popular Latino restaurants in your community, but you can try to find some smaller food trucks, or even if you go to a Mexican market like I've done in the past, I found some restaurants inside of those as well. Other places you can go to are churches or a non-profit organization, or even different events that are happening within your city as well. I volunteered for a non-profit organization that was created to make sure that Latinos within my community had all the basic necessities that they needed. And the way that I volunteered was by distributing food. And this was a very fun experience because I was doing this in Spanish, or at least trying to. There's a lot of vocabulary and phrases that I had to learn that were about food, but then also about directing people. Espéreme, por favor, déjame buscarlos. Claro, sácalos, sácalos. Sí, tómala. Agarrás 5 naranjas. Hola, buenas tardes. La línea empieza ahí. Start playing video games. Who says you can't educate yourself by playing video games? One big reason why I promote this method is because video games are an essential hub for communication for people all over the world, no matter if you are playing video games on a computer, on a cell phone, or on a console. And since video games are popular in basically every country in the world, you will definitely find a community of Spanish speakers to talk with. Before you even hop on the game, usually there's different forums that you can join where there are people talking about this game constantly. And then once you actually get onto the game, you have chat functionality. So maybe you'll be able to text someone while you're playing the game, or you can chat with the members of your team via mic. Now imagine that you're playing a game like Call of Duty or Fortnite that requires a lot of teamwork. Now this is a very good way for you to start using vocabulary that's related to giving directions, for example, like seguimos derecho, or párate, párate, espera, espera, or el enemigo está arriba. And maybe if you lack a lot of vocabulary, you could at least start with listening to your different teammates that are speaking Spanish. And it's just a really fun and creative way to learn Spanish vocabulary. So you can learn from a variety of different genre of video games. You have action, you have adventure, you have science fiction, you have simulation like The Sims, you have sports like FIFA and 2K, and the list goes on. There's plenty to learn. So normally I wouldn't recommend this strategy to Spanish learners, but it's actually a very important skill to have. and this is translating. If I was helping out a beginner in the Spanish language, I would be telling them a lot to make sure that they focus on Spanish words. So don't try to translate too much back into your native tongue English, but always focus on those Spanish words. Translating from Spanish to English, then also English to Spanish is very important if one of your goals is to be a Spanish interpreter. Now, this has been one of the most difficult skills for me to improve as a Spanish learner because it requires a lot of knowledge of the Spanish language, but also of your native language as well. For me, that would be English, but also the culture as well. The culture of English-speaking countries and the culture of Spanish-speaking countries, because you have to be able to transmit the same exact message from one language to the next language. For example, can you explain a lot of colloquial phrases that we say in English into Spanish? Like it's raining cats and dogs. Está lloviendo gatos y perros. So I'm actually not sure if there's an equivalent colloquial phrase like this in Spanish. So that's where the cultural knowledge comes into play. So if that phrase is not in Spanish, then you're going to have to figure out different words that you can use to make that make sense to that Spanish speaker. Now, the next way is using scripts. And the goal of this is to use Spanish content to have yourself a little presentation and mimic Spanish speakers. This script is from a telenovela. Noche 3. Hostes. Les dejo la carta de vinos. Raquel. No es necesario una botella de prosecco, por favor. A Oscar. Nada como las burbujas contra el mar de amores. Next up, we have the recipe script. Cocimos los macarrones. Para ello, los introducimos en una cazuela con abundante agua hirviendo. Añadimos un buen puñadito de sal y los cocemos durante unos 12 a 15 minutos. And the last one is a weather script. La noche del sábado tendrá cielos despejados con temperaturas en los medios 80 grados Fahrenheit y una probabilidad de lluvia inferior al 2%. Now, there's 3 reasons why I do this. The first reason is to increase my vocabulary in each of these specific topics. The second reason is because I'm increasing my pronunciation skills, and what makes that a lot easier is that I'm reading off a script, so I'm not doing it all by memory, and I get to say the script as fast or as slow as possible. And the third reason is to practice my personality when I'm speaking Spanish. So I was trying to exaggerate my emotions and then also my voice as much as possible so I could try to mimic what I'm hearing on a TV show or from a weatherman or a weatherwoman. Teach another person Spanish. Now, you don't have to be an expert in the Spanish language. You don't have to be a certified teacher to actually do this. And this is something that I've done with my nephew before. So I actually made some PowerPoint decks and I taught him just the basics of the Spanish language because that is what I already knew and I was able to explain it to him. So also nice about this is that you actually are building up that teaching skill, because it's one thing to be a student of the Spanish language and just learn from other Spanish speakers and from friends, but you have to make what you are teaching make sense to the other person. In this case, it was my 8-year-old nephew. Put everything in Spanish and do everything in Spanish. So I'm not just talking about putting your phone in Spanish and putting your computer in Spanish, but I'm also talking about having transactions in Spanish. For example, you can go to an ATM and you will have 2 different options, Inglés or Español. Choose Español. And this is the same exact thing that happens when I call my bank. Para Español, marque 2. Para Español, presione número 2. Para Español, oprime 2. In case you didn't catch that, that was 3 different Spanish verbs to say press number 2. I've even tested out this method with Amazon. So one time when I was trying to return a product, I got in contact with a Spanish-speaking phone agent. But embarrassingly enough, I didn't understand him that much and I just kept on saying sí. Before you go on your trip to a Spanish-speaking country, one thing that you can do is have a conversation in Spanish with one of the representatives at a hotel. This is something I did before going to the Dominican Republic, and I was asking a lot of questions about when is the check-in time, when is the checkout time, and what other amenities that they had at the hotel. Before you actually do this, make sure that you check with your cell phone carrier to see if you're going to have any fees related to these international calls, because I paid a lot more than I realized, and I don't know if this is considered a travel mistake or a pre-travel mistake, but make sure that you check on that. And doing these types of transactions and having this form of communication can be very nerve-wracking, especially because it's your money. That will push you even more so to learn the vocabulary so you can communicate better. And you're not just saying C repeatedly because you don't understand what you read or you didn't understand that person over the phone, and then you end up with a purchase that was unwanted. If you're enjoying this video, make sure that you like it and you share it with your Spanish learning friends. Eso es todo para hoy. Muchas gracias por ver este video. Me llamo Josué, esto es Spanish Blueprints y nos vemos en el próximo video.